everyone. It is the Fly Guys podcast. Justin Goodhart alongside Cameron Klein. And Cameron, we are back. A slight hiatus, but we have not left our millions. Like The Rock, like the millions and millions of fans of the Fly Guys podcast. We're always here for you. Cameron, how are you doing? It feels so good to say it. Just we're talking playoff hockey, and we don't have to even think about the P word or the F word, however you want to say it.
I'm great because the weather's been great, right?
Oh yeah,
it's been one of those weeks. It's that week where it's happening. Warm weather's coming, cold's done. It's officially done. Feels fantastic. But no, it's nice, and we were just having a lengthy discussion about the NFL and specifically the Miami Dolphins. When I will say that moments like this, right, as a Flyers fan, is like this is a little glimpse of what it's like as a Dolphins fan growing up my entire life. When you get to the playoffs and it's so relaxing. It's like I could just enjoy the sport.
Yep.
It's like being retired. You know, you're not in the fight anymore, and you get to just sit back and just listen to the birds chirp. And by birds, we mean the Florida Panthers throwing elbows and all kinds of other wild shit. So it's been great though. It's been awesome. It's been a great playoff first opening week, and I can't wait to see more.
Gotta love some of the storylines that have already happened. You got Matt Kachuk basically saying, like, it's not a rivalry with the Lightning. Like, this isn't a rivalry. Rivalries are normally competitive. Kachuk just throwing in the salt into the wound of the Lightning.
Typical Matthew response.
Uh-huh. The Carolina Hurricanes eliminating the New Jersey Devils. Moving on, they will be taking on the Washington Capitals in round 2. No surprises there. Cameron, in the Eastern Conference, though, there is one series remaining, and what's Cameron? What's Toronto waiting for? I mean, you were up 3-0. Okay, then you lose game 4 in overtime. Like, okay, they get one.
Yeah, gentlemen's sweep.
And then they get absolutely clobbered in game 5. Like, absolutely clobbered in game 5. And now it's 3-2. And like if you're a Maple Leaf player right now, how are you not feeling like a little
Right.
like just a little bit right now? It's like is the necktie getting a little too tight around yourself right now?
It's how I imagine, like, it's certain teams that get over the hump, right? The Philadelphia Eagles in 2017, right, when they won the Super Bowl, that was awesome. Everyone feels great, but like the moment, like everybody, including myself, that last drive, right? Brady has the ball in his hands. The whole time you're thinking, please don't mess this up. How are they going to mess this up? I really hope they don't mess this up. You know what I mean? Because you've seen it so many times before. It's just the status quo. And that's got to be how they feel right now. Like, here we go again. And I will say, going into game 4, a certain man was interviewed. A certain man who has experienced this before.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on the right side of history, my friend. Claude Giroux leading the team, even though he's not actually leading the team. But he is a part of the Ottawa Senators, and he's been, scoring points and being the assist man that he normally is.
Let me tell you something.
I'm rooting for Ottawa. It's awesome. I love it. I would love for them to do it.
Let me tell you something right now. If this were to happen, if the Ottawa Senators, remember, this is the Battle of Ontario too. This is not just like any other like playoff matchup. This matchup matters. If the Ottawa Senators come back and they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games after the Maple Leafs had a 3-0 lead, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, I would not be surprised if all 4 of them were no longer with the Maple Leafs after that.
Like,
listen, as a fan of the Maple Leafs, how would you even have an appetite to run it back with that crew?
I don't know. I'm pulling up their contracts now, but like even for them, right? Like even for them, I would, at a certain point, I have to think like if I'm Austin Matthews, right? And I don't know, he could be clutcher than he is, but you got to think like I'm just going to start getting PTSD from the color blue at this point. Like that's where I think they're at. Like, dude, it's like and it hasn't happened yet. And by the time this comes out, it'll be most likely Friday, so most likely we'll know if Ottawa's won Game 6. But like, if it does happen, it's impressive. It's impressive how much of a train wreck they can find themselves going into time and time and time and time again. So I'm going to look it up. Let's see. Yeah, Marner is on his final year.
Mm-hmm.
Matthews, he's still got
Nylander
a
just
couple.
signed.
He's still
Nylander
got
just
3
signed
more
last year, I think.
years, and yeah, Johnny
Tavares?
T is on his final year as well.
Yeah. How would you have any appetite to
Johnny
bring
T's
back
34
Marner?
anyway. But
You figure, unless they win the Cup this year, you figure this is probably it for Johnny T as a Maple Leaf.
yeah, like if they don't win the Cup, I could see him coming back because he wants to win a Cup, but he's going to go to some Cup contending team somewhere.
Sounds like a Colorado Avalanche player to me if I've ever seen one.
I could see that happening.
No, listen, Cameron. I just don't know what you do as an organization if you replace the GM a couple years ago. There's a new head coach this year in Berube, but it's the same team, it's the same roster, and I just don't. You're up 3-1. You're clearly better than the Ottawa Senators. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're better than the Senators. And you can't close it out on home ice in Game 5. How would that give you any confidence going into a series with the Florida Panthers? How? Like, this the Panthers team, the Panthers were not by far and away the best team in hockey this year. They had their moments where they struggled, but you know what they are? They're a team that knows how to win, and they're the defending champions. So when you can't close out an okay Ottawa team, because that's all the Ottawa Senators are. They're okay.
They're exciting this year. Yeah, like they're exciting. You can root for them. They're fun. Like Brady Tkachuk slamming Bud Lights and crushing scoring goals. That's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're looking at the paper, these rosters, that's like, come on.
This is like, honestly, it just borders on the point of like, I'm not rooting necessarily for Toronto, but this just borders on the point of like, dude, like, this is ridiculous how much they're the Cowboys. They're the Dallas Cowboys. Doesn't matter
100%.
how talented they are. Doesn't matter how talented the team that they're or how much more talent they have than the team they're playing in the playoffs. They will find a way to lose. And even if they win tonight, I guarantee you that Game 5 is going to be sticking in their heads for a little bit, and they better pray that maybe the Western Conference side, which we're going to talk about now, is going to go on just a little bit longer, so it gives them a chance to clear that out of their heads, because they do not want to have to. That Florida series is not going to be fun, especially now with, in my opinion, probably a shot confidence.
No, like I think I have in the one bracket that I did, I think I had Washington, I think, going in the Eastern, but they were the Eastern Conference Finals was them against Florida, and the Florida. When I look at Florida, I think of Jason Kelce. I think of his speech. I think of the whole "Hungry Dogs Run Faster," right? Because the Florida Panthers is just dogs. They're all dogs. Like that's the best way to define that team.
They're the most NFL hockey team in the league.
Oh yeah. I think you could throw Matt Tkachuk in Oklahoma drill, and like he'd probably come out on top. You know what I mean? Like, but
so you imagine Matt Tkachuk as a cornerback. They love to trash talk.
Oh, he'd be a safety. Trash talk. I think he'd be a safety because he hits. You know what I mean? Like a nice big like just blow a play up. Anyway, but to like also just add a little bit to what you're saying too, like John Tavares is the 4th highest scoring player on that team. Nothing to go against Ottawa here, but again, pointing this out, he's the 4th highest player scoring on that team. 34 years old, he scored 74 points. 4th highest player. Then you got Matthews with 78, Nylander and he only played 67 games. Nylander with 84, Marner with 104. Like, it's just like, guys, there's no excuse.
They're living proof that 4 players a team does not make, but the talent on the rest of the team should be enough. They have good goaltending this year.
Yeah, their defense has been looking good. Yeah.
The defense has been fine, and their depth has been fine.
Yeah, and you have a Stanley Cup winning coach as well.
Yeah, and you do. You have a Stanley Cup winning coach. We're going to talk about the team that he won the Stanley Cup with now.
Yeah. Well, really quick, I do got to say, I have a theory as to why they're losing and why I think they're going to lose again tonight.
Ooh, why? Why is that?
That is because I'm not sure if you heard it, seen this, read this, heard about this. But there is a new a diss track that might be getting in the Toronto Maple Leafs heads here.
Uh-oh.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Cameron,
now I'm just gonna refresh the page so we can restart the song. Okay, because you gotta hear it in all of its glory.
It's been a minute.
Can you hear that?
Since we've been in it.
Oh God.
It wasn't easy. So we got all day.
All right.
Oh my God. Firstly,
that's got to be it, right? Shout out to I think it's the Kyle Ivan was the Instagram page. They made like a fan.
Firstly, he did a very admirable job of trying to copy the exact voice inflection. He did an admirable job.
Well, I'll say this, dude. Does that remind you of anything?
The thing is that it should remind me more of like the Padres guy from the 2022 NLCS.
See, and that's why you and I work together so well, because immediately I thought of
Billy going down to yellow and brown.
Okay, I'm done. I won't subject anybody else to that anymore. If you are thinking of making a diss track for your sports team against another sports team, just please don't. Just please don't. Now, the Ottawa Senator one, that seemed like a little bit more fun because it kind of seemed like they upped the production value. They're having fun with it. They're kind of goofing off. Like, I respect that a little bit more, whereas the Padre one seemed like it was a little too serious, like they were, like, rehearsed it. But it's like, if you're a Flyers fan out there, please don't. Please don't. In 2 years' time, we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Mitchkov scored 15 goals already. Just please don't. Don't make a song. Don't make a meme. Just shut up and go to the game.
Let me tell you something. Cameron knows me better than most when it comes to my sports fandom. I almost always expect some shoe to drop to hurt my teams. The minute I saw the Padres diss track come out, I was like, oh my God, we're going to go to the World Series. This is crazy. Like, you
and I both, you immediately text me. You're like, have you seen this? And I was like, no. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, it's 5 games. 5 games.
And guess what it ended up being, Cameron? It ended up being 5 games.
Like, oh my God. I can't imagine if I'm an athlete and I see that. And I'm just my momentum zapped. I'm done. I'm not playing.
The disrespect to Blur as well. Like, don't quit your day job, guy. You cannot ever do song 2 anywhere near that.
Shout out to him. Nothing but love. But yeah, come on.
Nothing but love. But seriously, like, you are going to be extremely lucky if Ottawa survives this. But
that's why, like, when I texted you today, I was like, have you seen this Ottawa thing? And you were like, no. I was like, thank God.
And then I made sure not to look into it because there was a part of me that was like, I should go look at it. And I was like, no. I want him to surprise me.
No, he wants me to see this. Which is true. That's accurate. But yeah, okay. So moving on to the other team.
Western Conference. Here are how things look right now. Edmonton Oilers, they were down 2-0. They now lead 3-2 over the Kings.
They're coming back.
Vegas Golden Knights. I listen. My boys. They love to give me a little heart attack, but my boys in Edmonton, love you. Minnesota seemingly had the series lead. Ryan Hartman, former Flyer. Hey, how you doing? With a beautiful goal, and then it was called back due to offsides. Awesome. And then Vegas, of course, because Vegas gets all of the breaks in the world, they go ahead and they win the game, and they're now up 3-2. That's amazing. Cameron's pick to win it all. It's
looking great.
It's not looking great right now. The Colorado Avalanche down 3-2 to the Dallas Stars. Not looking
great. I will say again, there was a gut. It was a gut. It was just going off the gut, and it was just first thought. Same gut told me Eddie Alvarez was going to beat Conor McGregor. He got knocked out within the first 2 rounds and dropped within the first 15 seconds. So that tells you what my gut knows. But there's still hey, we still got time.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And then Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. That series is 3-2, but let me tell you something, boys. I don't think we're done with that series just yet. Winnipeg did win Game 5, and they did so convincingly. But for Games 3 and 4, Mr. Jordan Binnington turned into 2019 playoff Jordan Binnington. And if you get that guy for Games 6 and 7, Winnipeg, your dreams may be dead before they ever had a chance to really be born.
Yeah, he's just one of those players who's just clutch, right? Like you talk about Danny Briere too, where Briere was a great player all the time. Don't get me wrong, but there were certain points where you saw his regular season numbers, and he was a good player. But then all of a sudden, he gets in the playoffs, and he turns into not just a good player; he turns into a point per game player. That's Jordan Binnington, goaltending wise. He just finds a way to like turn it on. Like we saw it again also in the Four Nations tournament this year. Like his average, his stats are average. Like they're good.
Yep.
They're not great. They're not like all-time great goaltending, but it's like in that moment, he just like turns it on. And yeah, it's hard to bet against him, especially when you look at Winnipeg, right? Given the history of their team over the last couple seasons. I'm surprised that they didn't choke it at all this season. I'm proud of them for that. But again, it's hard for me to put money on Winnipeg when you got a guy like Bennington across the ice from you.
So here's the thing about Bennington. This is kind of like, we talked about this before. We talked about Darcy Kemper, like how when he gets hot, it's like insane how hot he can get. Jordan Bennington is very much like that type of goalie, where he might have like a 908 save percentage and like a 2.78 goals against average, and like those are numbers like in today's NHL, that's fine enough. But there will be stretches where all of a sudden Jordan Bennington turns into Patrick Waugh times Dominic Hasek plus George Vezina, and once he turns into that, like, it's just there's no coming back from that. If you get that Jordan Bennington in Game 6 and 7, I truly do believe the Blues are going to pull off an amazing upset. However, I am rooting for Winnipeg, not because it's anything against the Blues, but just because, like, I really want a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup Finals this year.
Fair.
I really, really want it.
Fair.
And now it's looking more and more like it will not be coming from the Eastern Conference side, because I don't trust Toronto. I don't really trust Ottawa.
Yeah,
and the Montreal Canadiens were shown the door pretty quickly from the Capitals. So my hopes are relying on really the Winnipeg Jets or the Edmonton Oilers. Now, you all know my babies in Edmonton. I always believe in that. I believe in them until that Sam Reinhart scores the most "Are you kidding me?" goal in Stanley Cup Finals history. Only Patrick Kane's Game 6 goal against the Flyers made me more like, "Are you kidding me?" I can't believe that
so
went in.
Anticlimactic. Just like, oh, I guess
the
it's
way
over.
The game was going to.
Right.
Reinhart just like, whoop. And of course, because
it came back from like a 3-0 series. Like it's like, this is the most exciting. Oh, I guess it's over.
The thing was,
I guess we'll go home.
2010. All right, you speak. The quick tangent. 2010 Flyers Bruins Game 7. We'd come all the way back.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you felt like after that third goal, like when Lucic scored his second goal to make it 3-0? I just remember being like, I can't believe we did this comeback, only to get completely shat on in Game 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt very Philadelphia. You know, it did feel like you brought us all the way back just to break it in front of us. You know, but no, they won. But they did.
They won the game. They won the game. But yeah, these have been a really fun playoffs. If you haven't been watching, you're not. You got to treat yourself at least a little bit here, guys. You got to give yourself something to enjoy. And these playoffs have offered a lot. Stay up late. Watch. Game 6 between Edmonton and LA. Watch tonight with Toronto and Ottawa, because if Ottawa wins that Game 7, you're going to want to have your ass to the couch watching Game 7.
I can't wait if that happens. I can't wait. And most likely it would be Saturday, I would think. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I would think what a great time for a primetime game. But no, you're right, dude. Like the past couple, all last weekend, it was like, what's nice is that if you have like a max subscription for HBO, you can just, a lot of them are on there, and it is literally every 2.5 hours a new game. And it just, like last Sunday was just game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, it was just hockey for 12 hours, and great hockey for 12 hours. It, yeah, man, yeah, they're explosive, they're fun. I got nothing else to say. What sucks to me though is I think the series I want to watch the most is the Kings in Edmonton, and they're always starting off at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
I know. And on
but
work
that to me is the series to watch.
You and I, like working men in this world, we gotta get the bacon. Whatever we have to do.
Just for carrying our lunch bales in, Yeah,
to the construction zones, right? Yeah. Wearing our hard hats.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. These players have been awesome. It's been such a nice breath of fresh air to like remind yourself of what good hockey can look like on the regular. Mm-hmm. It makes you hungry for Flyers hockey, and it also makes you hungry to like. It makes you yearn for the yesteryears of what Flyers hockey used to be. Mm-hmm. And so I've been watching a lot of these games, and I'm just like, man, it'll be so cool. Like when Cameron and I are covering like Flyers versus Capitals Game 6.
Well, dude, remember again, we've talked about the 2020 Montreal Canadiens series. Like,
it was awesome.
Doing the watch parties together. It was the best. It was the
best. Speaking of Flyers of yesteryear, Cameron, you almost share a birthday with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now when I heard it, when I texted you, you were just like, man, he was like 84 years old. And I was like, man, I didn't even realize he was that old. But Ed Van Impe passed away. Flyers legend. He was the second ever captain in Flyers history. He carried that until 1972, when he then handed it over to Bobby Clarke.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the original Flyers, Cameron, and you brought up such an interesting point about him, where he was someone that saw the transition of like the Flyers being like a mediocre expansion team in the year of the Great Expansion of 1967 to becoming one of the most influential sports teams in the world. And not just because they won back-to-back cups in 74 and 75, but also what they did against the Soviet Union in 76, where they weren't just America's team that day, they were the world's team that day. And even the most hardened Flyers haters, even, for all the signs you'd see in Toronto of calling the Flyers animals on skates and people, wanting to go to their team's building just to see maybe if someone could crack a Flyers player's head open, they all wanted the Flyers to win that game against the Soviet Union. Ed Van Impe had the most electrifying and iconic hit, maybe in Flyers history. So an absolute legend that, was one of those guys who laid the foundation for what we, as fans today, expect to see out of our Flyers hockey.
Yeah. I was just trying to look to see, because I know that there was an incident. If you watch the Broad Street Bullies documentary that HBO produced back in, I think, 2015, they talk about an incident. I think they were playing against Montreal Canadiens, where some player on the Flyers was hit and hospitalized, and it was basically what kicked off Ed Snyder being like, we got to bring tougher guys here.
Yep.
And then drafted Bobby Clarke, goes out, gets Dave the Hammer Schultz, so on and so forth, and then the rest is history. I was trying to see if I could find where specifically that game came, where that game happened, but I unfortunately could not. But regardless, point is I wanted to just point out that he saw that, and that to me is what's the most interesting thing about him and his career, is that he was there when the Flyers started. He was there from the very beginning, and like you said, he saw them go from a mediocre just afterthought, because every team that wasn't the original 6 hockey teams were just they were afterthoughts. Every Stanley Cup was still the original 6 teams. They dominated. And he saw the transition of being a weaker link team in the league that was brand new, didn't have an identity. And he went through the fruits and the labors and was able to also celebrate that, right? Like by the end of his tenure with the Philadelphia Flyers, he wins 2 Stanley Cups. To be able to see the development of that team through his eyes must have just been amazing. Like it blows me away, like as a sports nerd, just thinking like of what those locker rooms look like, what experiences he got to go through, like, and again, to go from a team that was barely winning games, getting bullied, to being the team that bullied people, to being the team that absolutely changed the face of hockey, is pretty damn cool. And again, like you said, his most famous moment is elbow in the Russian and saying, what was the quote? I think he said, they asked him, like, what was up with the elbow? Like, did he elbow? And he was just like, well, he ran into my head with his elbow with his head. I don't know.
So obviously, Valery Kharlamov. Again, everyone knows the story. Van Impe puts the hit on the star forward Valery Kharlamov. No penalties called. The Russians leave the ice, basically pulling the biggest temper tantrum. They come back. Flyers win the game 4-1. When asked about the play, he says he basically ran into my elbow with his head. Van Impe said of the play years later in the book Walking Together Forever. I've always said, he goes on to say, I've always said I just couldn't understand how a world-class player would have wanted to do such a thing. Now, Ed Snyder, who we all love Ed, had a different view of the play. Ed Van Impe put one of his famous checks on one of the Russians, said in a 2007 interview, Ed Van Impe wasn't one of the cleanest hockey players. Well, no crap that he wasn't one of the cleanest. But that was the thing. The Flyers that wasn't how the Flyers won Stanley Cups. They didn't win them being clean. They didn't.
No.
Now, the biggest black eye, in my opinion, on Ed Van Impe's career is who he finished his career with.
Oh, yeah.
He was traded in 1976 to the Pittsburgh
that same
Penguins.
season.
That doesn't. Yeah, after that happened, after
that hit, like a month after that hit. Yeah,
it feels grotty. It feels so dirty that. And the thing was, the Flyers-Penguins rivalry was certainly not what it was in '76, because the Penguins were a joke of an organization. The Flyers were the world-class organization, up there with the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins at the time.
They were at the time.
But like, it just feels so that he would finish his career with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, it's he deserved better, right? And again, he's known forever as a Flyer. He only played, I think, a total of 22 games in total with Pittsburgh.
It's 22 games too many. It's 22 games too many.
It is. But I love, like, when you look back at old hockey players, regardless, like how just older people looked back then. Like, if you look at him when he was 34 years old, he looks like he's almost 60.
He does.
Like,
You're right.
It's wild, dude. It is wild. And but he lasted till he was 84. Like, he's balding, for Christ's sake, while he was playing with the Flyers.
It's unbelievable.
And yet, but yeah. So yeah, rest in peace to him. Thoughts and condolences with his family. Great life, great career. But yeah, truly one of the great ones.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would venture to say that if you see a video of him like later down the line when he's talking about the play, first, like, his nose is just like it looks like
it's the Larry Zonka, like, I broke it 15 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of unbelievable. Cameron, we're gonna take a quick break.
Yep.
We wanted to make sure we paid our tribute to Ed Van Impe. Again, Flyers great. Huge key cog in really just the most incredible time in Flyers history. Also, I believe only only 5 defensemen, or I think it was something around either 3 or 5 defensemen have ever worn the C as defensemen for the Flyers. Impe, of course, was the first one to do it because he was the second ever captain. And I think that is a very... It just goes to show that the Flyers typically would not give it to a defenseman. So Van Impe being the first one to do it is of note, and he will be missed. And may he rest. May his memory be a blessing, and may his family obviously have peace during this time. We're going to take a quick step aside. We can come back. We got to talk about something happening up in the New England area because it's the biggest talk of the day right now. We'll be right back. We are back. Cameron, Klein, Justin, Goodhart. Cameron, I tend to not care about stuff like this when it comes to outside of sports because the one thing that kind of drives me up a wall, like, for example, Saquon Barkley going to the White House, and people are up in arms about that, and then Jalen Hurts not going to the White House, and people are up in arms about that, and I'm just here to tell you right now, I just never cared. I always get a little annoyed when people get invested in players' personal lives or their personal beliefs and stuff like that because if Reggie White, who is considered to be one of the greatest men of all time, could go before Wisconsin to try and keep gay marriage illegalized, do something despicable like that, then I promise you, then the guy that you're idolizing today is probably not necessarily a guy you should be idolizing. And that's not to say that Reggie still wasn't a good person because of that, but everyone has their beliefs, and most of the time you end up getting disappointed by what some people do believe in.
Yeah. And it's good to separate the two. You don't want to idolize any person because every human being, we're all full of flaws, right? So any person you're idolizing is also going to do some things wrong. And that's okay. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is. But
also worth mentioning, I care about how you represent, how you play when you wear the Philadelphia Flyer crest or the Phillies uniform or the Sixers jersey or the Eagles jersey. That's what I care about. Are we winning games and are you doing a good job for the team? Cool. Then I don't, as long as you're not doing anything morbidly horrible, then I don't really care.
Yeah, as long as you're not committing a crime for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't have to love you off the ice. Right.
Occasionally, though, a news story will catch my attention, and occasionally something that I find to be very off-putting will definitely get my attention. So Bill Belichick dating like a 20-whatever-year-old, like a 24-year-old.
Right.
For the longest time, I was just like, okay, it's weird, it's dumb, it's clearly creepy, but I guess I don't really care that much. Yeah. And I felt that way, even with like all the weird little videos you'd see of them on the beach, even with the red carpet things. I'm just like, it's just weird and it's dumb, but maybe it's not my place to judge. Belichick's got all this money, and I'm sure this woman is dating him totally for his looks and personality. It has nothing to do with anything else. And then that CBS interview happened. And the one clip that everyone latched onto, the clip if you've already seen it.
It's the one everyone's talking about it. Yeah.
Where the interviewer, I forget the journalist's name, he, just simply asked the question of, like, how did you two meet? And a fair enough question. When you're a 73-year-old dating a 24-year-old, especially, I think the question becomes even more valid. And the girl, this Jordan Hudson girl, She's a lovely girl. What can I say? Um, she calls out from the behind the scenes, goes, "We're not talking about this." And my first genuine thought to that, Cameron, was, yeah, that's like a normal couple thing. No
Yeah.
couple ever wants to talk
Yeah.
about how they met.
And we're not
That's
here for
never
that, right? Maybe like we're not here for that. We're talking about something else that doesn't have anything to do with okay.
But like also, why would you not talk? Like, what's the issue? What's the problem with talking about it?
It seemed like such a softball question, right? Just
All
like
you
a
have-
simple question, like a simple like, oh, we met, we actually met on a plan, blah blah blah. We reconnected a couple years later, and and we started dating, or you didn't have to say that. We just we reconnected a couple years later.
But we couldn't have that now, could we?
No,
we couldn't have that. We had to get
no.
We're not talking about this. We're not talking about this. And then it goes even further than that because ultimately, look, if Jordan Hudson wants to be the next Anna Nicole Smith and date and marry some 98-year-old for his money, for the guy to die 14 months later and then, be in court for the next several years because you're trying to figure out how you're going to get your money, then that's fine. That's Jordan Hudson's prerogative. But Jordan Hudson, by all accounts, was some sort of cosmetologist. And she's now been busy blocking people on the UNC football account because people on Twitter like to be funny. That's just how it's always been.
Yeah.
If you're this insecure, by the way, maybe you should be stepping away from the social media. That's just my opinion. But the other thing that I then saw was that Jordan Hudson apparently wanted to be heavily involved in the NFL Films production of UNC's appearance on Hard Knocks.
Yes.
Now, I don't know why Jordan Hudson wanted to be involved in that. My here's my guess. I'm gonna give you my guess, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. My guess is that Hard Knocks isn't exactly something that gives you a break. Like they're gonna cover as much as they want to cover. Mm-hmm. So a natural thing to want to cover. The legendary 8-time Super Bowl champion head coach Bill Belichick being on this team is already interesting enough.
Yeah.
What's not interesting about Bill Belichick? Well, he's dating someone he's essentially 50 years older than. We should cover that as well. And I guarantee you that was going to be an angle from Hard Knocks. They cover everything in these things, especially in the early days of Hard Knocks. Like the first one with the Baltimore Ravens, it's probably still the best one that was ever made.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that Jordan Hudson wanted to be so heavily involved because she wanted to control whatever narrative that might be out there, especially as it pertains to a relationship that she has. Because the truth is that she is such an insecure person about her relationship that she does not want to have to deal with the fact that people may talk about it, which, by the way, in journalism, in podcasting, is fair game.
Yeah, they're going to talk about it. And then for her, it's like you're of the generation that's fully aware of that. You grew up in this. Everybody talks about everything all the time, and it's a full business to just talk about other people's business. Like that's what podcasts mostly are. That's what we do, right? And we love it. It's great. But it's like you're aware of that. You're aware when you're putting something out there, people are going to react to it. And dating one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time when he's 50 years older than you is something that people are going to talk about. You can't police that, right? You just have to accept that the bullets are going to come, right? You got to just take shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's odd. Now I don't know, right? If maybe, I mean, I'm sure Hard Knocks maybe did want to talk about their relationship or whatever, but I think I don't know. I don't know much about the Hard Knocks thing. I know that apparently the rumor is the way they said it was that they didn't feel comfortable with the amount of control that they were not going to have, the production company behind Hard Knocks, NFL Films. And the people are attributing that obviously to her, because why would you not? But I think it's more of just a control thing. I think she
might be,
because again, that she is the one who created the production company that set up the interview with CBS and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's more like she wants to just be the one in control of it. And here's the thing. Hard Knocks has been doing this for a long time. Yep. Hard Knocks has been doing this for longer than you've been alive. Why should they relinquish control to you? They know how to tell their story, so they're going to tell their story. They don't need to have it be checked by a person who graduated from college 2 years ago. No offense.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
Hard Knocks began in 2001. When was Jordan Hudson born? Like 2001. It's just it's so hard. It's so hard to picture. But also, I also want to mention this. I've seen a couple articles. Whether this is true or not, I have no idea. And if this isn't true, then it ends up kind of looking bad. But a few different news publications and tabloids have picked this up that Jordan Hudson had reportedly amassed a whopping $8 million real estate portfolio since she started dating Bill Belichick. And I'm just going to say this: you don't get to amass that much real estate and then be butthurt that you're going to be talked about a little bit.
Most people can't buy a house in the U.S. Most people are struggling with that. Yeah, and again, I don't. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Having that much of a real estate portfolio at the age that you are is kind of eyebrow raising a little bit. It's pretty rare. Most 24-year-olds don't have $8 million in real estate in a portfolio normally. And yeah, it just came across as very, very unlikable. It came across as very unlikable. And then you have things like Bill Belichick, you've got members of his family. I think it was his sister-in-law, maybe, or I know his daughter-in-law.
It's his daughter-in-law.
Yeah, who just publicly, right on the CBS News account on the comments on Instagram was just like, the whole family hates her.
Family.
The whole family. And it's like, oh, okay, right? And apparently I also heard that CBS, they released that snippet because it was only one of many interruptions that happened throughout the whole thing, because apparently they couldn't ask a question without it being interrupted. And it got to the point where they were just like, you know what? They were planning on trying to edit around it or whatever, because it was just to promote the book. It was just like a normal kind of BS promotion interview. And they got to the point where we were like, this is becoming so frustrating that we're going to air this part of it so that at least the public can get a snippet of what we've been dealing with.
Yep.
And apparently during some of these lines of questioning, she left the room for 30 minutes because she was getting so frustrated, I guess, with them.
You want to control the narrative of your relationship, and you won't even give the it's completely diluted. You know what this is? It's the diluted mind of a stupid 24-year-old who has no real life experience, who has had so much. And by the way, don't worry. For everyone who thinks I'm just going after Jordan Hudson, I don't think Bill Belichick's not a creep.
It's right around the corner. Oh yeah. It's all back there. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm more annoyed at the ego and the arrogance than anything from this 24-year-old that thinks that you're just going to do this and it's not going to draw any eyes or it's not going to draw any scrutiny. You know what? You're the one that's shown up to red carpet events basically naked on there. If you don't want the scrutiny, then I don't know, be a bit more private like how Bill used to be. All of a sudden, Bill now wants the limelight now, which brings me to a whole different thing. You know what? I'm ready to launch into Bill, too.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You start.
Well, here's the thing. I don't understand, because, you're right. This is kind of out. He normally was a private person back in the day. But also at the same time, when you really look at it, not as much, right? He wouldn't answer questions at interviews, but a lot of people knew about what was going on in his personal life. He didn't hide it well, and he didn't care to hide it well. And what's surprising to me is that a lot of people are coming out and just being like some people up here, especially in New England, being like, that's not my Belichick. What Belichick have you been watching?
Yeah,
that is your Belichick. What are you talking about? You mean the guy who's a dick in an interview? That's Bill Belichick. That's always been Bill Belichick. The guy who's extremely controlling and a hard ass and egotistic and narcissistic. That's Bill Belichick. You see how he's promoting this book, right? How I led an organization to go from $500 million to being $8 billion. Right, because the entire NFL's value didn't go up throughout that time, Bill. That was entirely you, right? That was entirely you. Yeah, over my span of 25 years with the team where we went to 10 Super Bowls and we won 6 of them. But wait a minute. You were only head coach for 24 years and you only went to 9 Super Bowls. Oh, so you're referring to the Super Bowl that Bill Parcells led them to, in which you joined up with the team halfway through the season because you left the Browns. That season. Oh, so you're taking credit for that too. That was all you, right? That was all Bill Belichick that did that.
Yep.
That was all Bill Belichick. I didn't know. I thought it was a different Bill. That was the head coach of that team.
And by the way, I just want to point something out, because we're gonna bring up everything, right? Because Bill wants to take credit for everything. So let's talk about just a couple things I want to bring up. When Bill Belichick became a head coach in 1991, by the way, that would be approximately 10 years before this woman was born. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, and how old was Bill Belichick at that point?
He was 39 years old at that point.
Okay. All right.
Oh, so he was basically already a third through his life. Okay, got it.
Right.
So when you became a head coach for the first time, You know what you accomplished in Cleveland? Well, let's see here. You went 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, 11-5, and you won one playoff game against your mentor and Bill Parcells, and then 5-11. And that Cleveland season in 1995 was so disastrous that Cleveland lost a football team for a few years. Okay, cool. So there's that. Then you became the head coach of the New York Jets for approximately 5 minutes, and then wrote down your resignation on a piece of paper towel or napkin or toilet paper, whatever the hell.
Goddamn napkin. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, why is that napkin not in the Hall of Fame somewhere? I'd like to know that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So you go to New England. Your first season there, when your quarterback is Drew Bledsoe, a fine enough quarterback, and at this point you're 48 years old. By the way, I just want to point something out. At 48 years old, Jordan Hudson had not yet been born. I just want to point that out. You go 5-11. So by this point, you're looking at one season of over 500, and you're looking at a lot of bad. And then all of a sudden, you win a Super Bowl in 2001. Well, gee, I wonder what the hell.
What happened?
What was the comment? Was there something that happened in a Jets-Patriots game? Did Drew Bledsoe nearly die on the football field because Mo Lewis laid the most consequential hit in sports history that gave way to, I don't know, the backup quarterback who went on a hell of a run and ended up becoming the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah, some 7th-round guy right out of Michigan, right? I think it was, right?
Yeah, something like, it's jarring my memory. So I got to say, Bill, you want to claim all this credit. You want to say that you're the one that took a $500 million organization, made into an $8 billion organization, as if there wasn't a Robert Kraft to help with that, as if there wasn't, a Tom Brady to help with that. But I'll tell you what, the moment that Brady was gone, what did we go back to? 7-9, 10-7, 8-9, 4-13. So take out the Brady years, people. Take out the Brady years.
Well, really, before you do, just remember 2017, before he won 2 more Super Bowls, Tom Brady, Bill wanted to get rid of him.
That's right. He wanted Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, which obviously.
Where's he, by the way, right now?
I believe he is some scrub.
He's backing up Matt Stafford in the Rams.
Oh.
Right.
So let's do the math. I'm going to do the math real time with you right now. Okay.
Yeah.
6-10 plus 7-9 is 13-29. Okay. I'm sorry, 13-27. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm getting this even more wrong.
You are.
I have to cut this out. It's 13-19. I was getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's 13-19 plus another 7-9 season. So now 13-19. So 7 wins. That's 20 wins, and then that's 28 losses now. So he's 20-28 at this point. I'm going to double check my math here. Yep, I'm correct. 13-28. Then he goes 11-5. So he's got 31 wins. And he has 33 losses, 31-33 as a coach. Then a 5-11 season. So 31-33. So now he's 36 wins.
And 44.
And 44 losses.
Yeah, 36.
Then he goes 5-11 again in his first season of New England. So 36 and 44. Now he's
41-55.
41-55. Then, wait, did we get that right? 41-55?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Brady years happen. Great record then. So 41-55. Let's go to the years without Brady. 7-9, 41-55. So that's 48 and 55 plus 9 is 64.
Mm-hmm.
So 48 and 64 now.
Yep.
Ken, we're going the wrong way. Then he's got a 10-7 season. So 58 and is it now? That's 48 and 65. So 58 and 72.
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. 58-72. Yeah. Not writing any of this down, so we're
really going hard here. So 48 and 65, 58 and 72. So then he goes 8-9. So 58 plus 8 is 66, and then
48
70
plus 8.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
No, I had it right.
Yeah, okay. You did. Yep, you did.
And then 72 plus 9 is 81. So
68-81.
66 and 81.
66-81. Okay.
And then lastly, a 4-13 season. So 70 and 94. So 70 and 94 as a head coach with one playoff win without Tom Brady.
And here's the thing, dude.
Huh.
He's a great coach, right? He's one of the best coaches of all time.
The best defensive mind ever in football
I'm
history.
willing to admit that, right? But this is a response to the my shit doesn't stink arrogance. And it's what he's brought to the table his entire life and career. With the cut off sleeve sweatshirts that have stains on them, with the I know what I'm doing, get the F out of my way, do your job BS. And when you also add into the record that he has with Brady, you also have to bring in, a lot of people talk about, what annoys me when they talk about the cheating scandals is always like, well, Deflategate was dumb, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about Deflategate. I care about Spygate. That's what I care about. That's the actual cheating scandal when people talk about Bill Belichick and his cheating bullshit. It was filming other teams' practices. And it was the fact the only reason he got caught from it was because someone from his own staff went to the other team next year and knew which doorway they would go into in order to film hand signals.
He burned the bridge with Mangini too. Like, Mangini left New England on bad terms, and then he blew the whistle on Bill. And then, and everyone like at first took the side of like, oh wow, Mangini's a rat. It's just like, you know what? How about the fact that Super Bowl 36 suddenly was thrown into some questioning? Super Bowl 38, Super Bowl 39. It's
each
just
one
funny
of them
to me
where you had guys on the Carolina Panthers, you had guys in the Rams coming out in the second half saying it just seemed like they knew where we were going to be. Because
Jim Johnson, like, is like known for having said like, they know all of our plays. What's going on?
Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, so you start pointing these things out. And again, Bill, what you could have done is went to UNC or not, just remain quiet, and you would have been one of the best coaches of all time forever. That's what you would have been remembered for, and that's it. But what you're doing now, you're ruining your own legacy. And at the same time, you're doing it to yourself. And it's what you've always done, because Bill's always been in control. Bill's always been the man his entire career. So go ahead and be the man here and tank your own legacy because you want to sell a book with your girlfriend who graduated college 2 years ago. Go ahead. But you want to act like a jerk, be a dick in interviews, be short with people, cut people off, be in complete control all the time. By all means, keep doing that. And then people are just going to keep pulling the skeletons out of your closet. Just the absolute arrogance of the guy. I mean, it's to the point where people up here, people in 40 minutes outside of Boston, the number one or the number 5 sports show in radio, 98.5 The Sports Hub, you got DJs on there calling him a fraud, people bringing up the fact that he was a cheater throughout his coaching career with the New England Patriots. You have your own fan base of the organization that you brought from $500 million to $8 billion worth. They're the ones who are calling you out saying, like, yeah, but you cheated to do it.
Your own, like the city that, I'll bet you 10 years ago, if you had told that city, like, you're going to turn on Belichick and, like, basically, exile him, they'll be like, nah, it would never happen. He's brought us too many great things for us to ever, have a bad. But you know what? It happens when you act like this. And yeah, your girlfriend's kind of responsible for it because of her attitude as well. Because I'll tell you what, the last girlfriend you had, Linda, never heard a peep from her, and by all accounts, she seemed like just a fine person.
Yeah, and that's the rumor. And again, it's a rumor. Not reporting anything. It is a rumor. Could be false. No idea. But the rumor is the reason why that question was so shot down was because the idea is we all kind of.
Yeah, he cheated on Linda. He cheated on Linda with this girl.
They met when he was with someone else. Yeah. Who was age appropriate, and this person wasn't. And
which, by the way,
it looks horrible.
I'm not like, we don't condone cheating's terrible, but also like that happens all the time. Stuff like that happens with celebrities all the time. So like it's not like oh my God, you're the first couple to ever meet because of infidelity. It's hardly.
Brad Pitt cheated on Jennifer Aniston. And people love Brad Pitt still. You know what I mean? He cheated on like arguably the most beautiful person in the country, and people are just like, yeah, but have you seen Fight Club?
Have you seen?
He's great. He's great in it. So yeah, no, you could have just answered the question with a softball question, but instead you wanted to blow it up because instead you wanted to be the guy in control and you wanted to win this mental arm wrestle that wasn't even really happening. And as a result, people are just looking at you for what you are. And now the one fan base that actually really liked you, they're starting to see you how the rest of the NFL fan bases see you. So, what are you gonna do? Icarus.
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you something, Bill.
Icarus.
Yeah, absolutely Icarus. I'm going to tell you something right now, Bill. This girl might be special in some ways. She will never be Lawrence Taylor reading an offensive line. Never. She will never, and I mean ever, be able to do on a football field what Rodney Harrison did for you. Just keep that in mind. You know what she can do for you, though? She can run social media for your football team really good, apparently. She's a cosmetologist turned social media influencer.
Well, apparently not that well, because she's you're blocking a lot of people. You're not doing it right.
It's unbelievable. You'd think she's an all-pro lineman with the way that she blocks people left and right.
My God, dude. Yeah.
We like to have a little bit of fun on the show, and ultimately, this is not a big story, and it ultimately won't even be a story within months. However,
we got nothing. We got the draft lottery next week. We got nothing until then.
When the Flyers win the number 1 overall pick, we'll obviously have that to talk about. But it's just like I'm looking more forward to the breakup. I'm looking so forward.
Oh, I can't wait for the podcast after the breakup in which she's talking about everything.
Airing, that's the thing, Bill. Your secrets are not safe with her. They're just not.
Bill, I don't think you understand this age of people. Everything's on the table. All information, none of it's private. It's all getting out. It's getting out, bud.
It's part of the alpha generation. It's not a promising one to be a part of.
Yeah, man. Everything you do will be heard someday. So just keep that in mind.
Oh gosh. And to anyone saying, "Oh, just leave him alone," to that I say, no, I don't want to.
I would say fair, because it's
not our business, but
a horrible story that no one cares about. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in the public eye. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to talk about it.
The Phillies aren't having the best starts of the season. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. We're in the offseason. The Flyers season's over, and the Sixers were one of the biggest jokes in the NBA. I got to find something to talk about.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, that is going to bring a close, another terrific close to the best show out there. And Cameron definitely has got to cut out that part of what I said of how old the girl is that Bill's dating, because that was definitely not cool. But if you enjoyed the show, be sure to listen for more, because it's not just relationships that we'll talk about. Sometimes we'll even give you relationship advice. Like if you're not sure what to buy your girlfriend for an anniversary, I can easily tell you, just buy her Super Bowl memorabilia, because apparently now you can just turn that into a crop top, like what Jordan Hudson does with all Bill. But you're turning his Super Bowl memorabilia into a crop top. Are you effing kidding me? That is football royalty that you're destroying with your alpha mentality. Ugh.
Could you imagine taking like Saquon's game-worn jersey from the Super Bowl and cutting it?
I would cut them
to look like Ezekiel Elliott. Disgusting.
To look like.
Disgusting.
It's horrifying. But yes, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fly Guys Podcast, on Instagram at Fly Guys Podcast. Be happy, be healthy. Do not become the next Anna Nicole Smith. And as always, let's go Flyers.